Well, here we are, at the end of one part of a nightmare that began on October 26, 2014. Justice. Justice is defined as fairness in protection of rights and punishment of wrongs. Since no one was able to protect Joy, Lindsey, and Emily, their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on October 26, 2014, we are here today to see your punishment of wrongs. Your punishment will never be severe enough for the part you played in their deaths. The scales of justice will never be balanced because they will still be gone. No amount of punishment to those responsible will bring them back. And that is the only thing that would balance the scales of justice. It has taken me these 2 years, 6 months, and 23 days to realize even your and Ryan's death would not balance the scales. I hope while in prison, every time you hear a door slam and lock behind you, you remember why you're there, and that you're there because you didn't make that one phone call that could have prevented and changed everything. I hope you will be punished daily knowing you are responsible for the deaths of 3 beautiful people. And if that fact doesn't bother you, I believe the fact that you're in prison away from your family, unable to be involved in the day-to-day activities of their lives, no longer able to celebrate birthdays, holidays, and special occasions with them will punish you every day. Joy, Lindsey, and Emily are unable to celebrate birthdays, holidays, and special occasions with us. We love and miss them more than words can say, and we think of them every day. You sentenced Joy, Lindsey, and Emily to death, and you sentenced us, the family, to life. Life without them. Our world is not as bright since they've been gone. Now their birthdays are filled with tears and memories. The same is true for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Joy loved my grandchildren like they were her own, and they loved her just as much in return. Since October 26, 2014, Brent has graduated from high school, and Alyssa just this week graduated from 8th grade. Joy missed these 2 special occasions because of you. She would have been so proud of them. You could have prevented their murders from happening. You helped plan the murders. You helped get the items you 3 deemed necessary to carry out this evil deed. You were the go-between. Those cryptic messages between the 3 of you, how smart you must have felt. You were not at Joy and Lindsey's home that beautiful Sunday morning, but you're just as guilty. You could have stopped it. You could have prevented their deaths with one phone call to the police. We wouldn't be here today. But you didn't. And that choice, that decision you willingly made, makes you guilty of murdering my sister, brother-in-law, and niece. Our lives were forever changed that sunny Sunday morning. Joy, Lindsey, Gary, and I had planned on going to our cousin's birthday celebration at 2 o'clock that afternoon. And later, Joy, Lindsey, and Emily were to have supper with Lisa, as Emily was planning on leaving the next day to start her new job. She was so excited. She had studied and worked hard to make her dream come true, but she would never leave the home she grew up in. She would never care for another gray filly at the racetrack. She would never run another marathon. She would never give Skylar hugs and kisses. You helped steal those things from her. My beautiful, loving sister. She had worked hard all her life. She had loved her job teaching and was now enjoying retirement. She had marked a few things off her bucket list. She had spent a week at a horse ranch in Wyoming with a dear friend and fellow teacher. And she'd gone ziplining with friends, something she said she would love to do again. There was one thing she didn't get to do, and that was go to the Kentucky Derby. She always dreamed of going on her birthday. This year, the Derby fell on her birthday, and I believe on May 6th she would have been at that Kentucky Derby. Lindsey also worked hard all his life. After retirement, he had had some health problems that kept him from doing some of the things he enjoyed, but he was getting better and looking forward to riding his motorcycle again. If you had made that phone call, you would have prevented their murders. You are as guilty as the evil that pulled the trigger. 3 beautiful lives gone, and you and Ryan left. There's no justice in that. Joy, Lindsey, and Emily did more good in one day of their lives than you've done in your entire life. They touched more lives, made more memories, and loved more deeply during their time on this earth than you could do in 3 lifetimes. They didn't deserve to die, and you don't deserve to live. A life behind bars is not really living. It's just existing on a day-to-day basis. Did you ever think about them and their lives? I would guess not. You never gave them a second thought. You only thought of what you would gain at their death. You joined an evil group, and you will reap what you sowed. Joy, Lindsey, and Emily are no longer on this physical earth. They can't celebrate birthdays, holidays, and special occasions with us, but one thing they did do was prepare for the event we all have to face. They were prepared for their death. They had a personal relationship with God and His Son, Jesus Christ. We know where their soul is upon their death. They are with their Father in heaven. They weren't perfect, but they led good, honest, hard-working Christian lives. They led humble lives and enjoyed helping others. You too will have to face God's final judgment. His judgment will be for eternity, and He will definitely balance the scales of justice. So many lives changed in an instant. Murder, devastation, anger, grief, and you could have prevented it all with one phone call. Whenever Lisa and Laura and I have been faced with a decision we've had to make, we've asked ourselves, what would Joy and Lindsey want? Every decision we've made, Joy and Lindsey have been foremost in our thoughts. Joy and I often talked about how life goes on after a tragedy, and it does. We go on with our lives, and we deal with our anger, depression, and grief the best way we can. We go on with our lives because that's what they would want us to do.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.